Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here with you in the ATL. JJ on the other side of the ATL will join us in a few minutes. We have Wayne, our producer in Memphis, with me this evening, and JJ's ready to pop on now.
All right, there he is.
JJ, welcome to the show. Welcome to ATL Prime Sports. I'm glad you could join us this evening. Wayne, I'm glad to see you too. Guys, it was a heck of a football weekend. I really enjoyed it. Wayne, you must be really happy right now because Memphis is playing basketball A and B.
Yeah.
You can actually go to the game.
Yes, I can.
And have a seat and enjoy yourself, right?
Right. And take pictures and tweet stuff from the game, all kinds of fun stuff.
All right. Speaking of Twitter, thank you very much. You can catch us at ATL Prime Sports, all of us. You can catch myself at Corder Todd. You can catch Wayne at RWY Jr. And you can catch JJ at JJ Get You One. So he will be joining us. He's going to be here in a few minutes.
He's here.
He's here now, actually. Yeah. All right. Hey, JJ, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. Just wanted to say, it looks like the DH is not coming to the National League, as I mentioned. I don't think all the players want it. I really think a lot of the National League guys want to keep it normal. A lot of jobs at stake in terms of extra bench guys, utility guys, like one of my favorite players on the Braves, Charlie Culberson, who's no longer with the Braves. So 65 days-ish, give or take, till April 1st, that opening day. I'm excited, fellas. It's good to be back. New week.
It's good to see you back, man. And also, they also haven't voted on how many teams are going to be in the playoffs. They turned down the 16-team playoff tournament that they had last year. So we shall see what happens. We'll see if the DH comes along. As you know, Wayne knows, and I know, what is it all about? The money. Yeah, so right. We'll continue to see if that really is true. But you're right. For now, no DH in the National League, and I'm thrilled. All right, we got another headline since you decided to start one, and I'm glad you did. The NBA All-Star Game may happen after all, and it may happen right here in the ATL. Ooh. Yes, so we shall see if that happens. It'll either happen at State Farm Arena, or it's going to happen at an HBCU school like Morehouse. And as you guys know, I do play-by-play for HBCU football. So that would be a thrill to have it at Morehouse or Clark Atlanta or somewhere like that where they can have the NBA All-Star Game at an HBCU school, which would also benefit an HBCU school financially. Guys, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it'd be kind of a cool thing to watch too. I like it when they, are in someplace other than
a big arena,
big NBA arenas. One of the things I always joked about was that they should, how the hockey does outdoor hockey once a year.
Oh yeah, I love it. So does JJ.
Yeah, they should do an outdoor basketball, either tournament or just one game where they have the asphalt and the chains on the nets instead of the nets, put the chains on.
You guys do remember a couple of years back, Michigan and North Carolina, I believe it was, or Michigan State and North Carolina played on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool to watch. They brought the wood floors out there. Yeah. That was unique to watch. I'm sure the wind affected some shots, but Wayne, I said the same thing. I think it'd be cool to do that. Yeah. It's just a different venue, a different scene you'll see on TV. It's going to be a more intimate setting, for lack of a better word. I mean,
no fans.
Yeah. You'll be able to see players, maybe different camera angles that you've never seen before because it's going to be real compact. Pretty cool experience.
That is correct. All right, guys, we have Dave Cohen come on in about 10 minutes or so, and then Lou Gamelin will join us at 8:35 around there. He will talk NFL football with us. He's does some ACH hockey with myself. He also has a show called the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and also he broadcasts high school football in the state of Michigan. All right, guys, let's get it. Let's go over to the NFC Championship game. That was a much more compelling game than the AFC by 10 days. And, guys, I'm just going to go right to it. Let's go right to the decision for the Green Bay Packers on 4th down and goal. They decided to go ahead and kick the field goal instead of going for it. The field goal got them within 5. They had 4 timeouts in essence with the 2-minute warning. If their defense could have stopped Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers wouldn't have won the game 31-26, and they could have got the football and beat Tampa Bay potentially, but Tampa Bay won it, like we said, 31-26. Tom Brady's going to his 10th. This is stupid. 10th Super Bowl. It'll be on the Buccaneers' home field. I know you got enough, just barely enough fingers, JJ. I know it. And it'll Super Bowl will be on their home field in the city of Tampa Bay. The Lightning has been to the Stanley Cup Finals and won it. The Rays went to the World Series, and now the Buccaneers are in the Super Bowl. Guys, there are 2 ways you got to look at it. I really don't have a problem with the decision to kick it on 4th down because, like I just said, you got the 4 timeouts. Nor do I have the decision to go for it because if you don't get it, you back them up in their own end. But I do have a problem with chasing points. If you would have kicked the extra point, you wouldn't have needed 2. So that's where I stand. Where do you stand, JJ?
I feel the exact same way. I see both arguments. You can say tick for tat. You can say stat for stat. He should have gone for it. The thing is, folks, he needed a 2-point conversion too. You mentioned it before. He chased the points earlier. If he doesn't chase the points, they go for 1. Let's say assume Mason Crosby, pretty reliable kicker, makes the extra point. You're within 7 at that point, and I think that changes the decision LaFleur makes. If you don't have to get 10 total yards, meaning 8 and the 2 yards to get the 2-point conversion, I think it changes the whole outcome. But I like what LaFleur did. What it does is it extends the game. Kind of like in basketball, fouling at the end of a game. It extended the game. It gave them an opportunity to get a stop. You mentioned the basically 4 timeouts. They had their opportunity. Their defense didn't prevail when they needed it most. And I think it was the right call. You can go either way with it, but I think LaFleur made the right decision by taking the points. And again, earlier, TC, to piggyback on your point, why chase them? It happened in the AFC title game. It happened in this game we're talking about right now. You're chasing points for what reason?
Analytics, which drives me batty.
And I mentioned it on Twitter, and I was completely joking about it, but I said whoever the guy that started the "you gotta go for 2" needs to be relieved of his duties. And I'm kidding of that, but it's like everybody's starting to do it. We mentioned it. How many times in the playoffs did teams go for 2, and later on in the game, it bit them in the butt?
Yeah,
it did, man. It did.
Well, they don't call it number 2 for nothing.
It's just, especially in that AFC title game, and that's a different one. But this was a similar situation. I mean, if you just because I bet you again, LaFleur goes for it if they're down 7.
Yeah.
You know what? The thing is Aaron Rodgers' comments were very interesting. His comments were very interesting, JJ. They asked him what he thought of it. He said, hey, it's not my decision. It's coach's decision. And what the media do, they killed him for it. He was damned if he did, damned if he didn't like it. He just said, hey, it's not my decision. I'm not in charge. I can see it each way, and that's the end of it. Guys, let's talk about some of the other let's just talk about some of the keys to the game, I guess. Ooh. To me, the turnovers, Green Bay only scored 3 points off 3 Tampa Bay interceptions in the second half, and Tampa Bay turned 2 Green Bay turnovers into 14 points. Yep. That was a huge difference in the game.
Yeah,
you mentioned it.
Absolutely.
I think the game was turned head over heels when Aaron Jones caught the crossing route over the middle, was reaching for was going upfield to make a first down and got smashed.
It was a great hit, wasn't it?
It was a great clean hit too. In this day of age of targeting and everybody headhunting, clean hit, forced the fumble, also forced Aaron Jones unfortunately out of the game. And it mentioned on last Monday's show and on Friday's show, Aaron Jones was the key to that game. If he could move the football on the ground, take some pressure off of Aaron Rodgers, because you knew Aaron Rodgers was going to have his day. That was the key. That game, that play changed the momentum, and those 3 interceptions really didn't matter because
Wayne, let me ask you this: when you saw, and JK comment on this too, but on that third down play, Rodgers had some green grass. Now, I don't think he would have scored. Maybe you guys do. I think the DBs, they were looking right at him. Here's no way he'd have made it. It'd have been 4th down, but it would have been a much shorter. Maybe it'd have been 4th and 3 instead of what it was. But, you know, he saw the receiver open for a split second and made that split-second decision. And, of course, he was killed by the media for that, too. Wayne, what do you think?
His natural thing to do in that situation is to find a receiver. He's not the kind of guy that's going to just know or think to run before he thinks to pass. He's a passer before he's a runner. And another thing I want to mention on that same thing is that both quarterbacks were under an equal amount of pressure from the other side's defense. It wasn't like one side's defense was more aggressive than the other. Both those quarterbacks were under a lot of pressure the whole game.
Speaking of pressure, JJ, Tampa Bay's defense got after Aaron Rodgers and sacked him. Thank you very much for the number. 5 times. Thank you, sir. And, you know, they barely got to Tom Brady.
Well, they sacked him a few times.
Yeah, I mentioned it again last week. So it's like a broken record. I said if they get after Aaron Rodgers, this could be a long night for A-Rod, and it was. They had only sacked A-Rod. I call him A-Rod. Aaron Rodgers 3 times in the regular season. 5 of those came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they faced the loss earlier in the year. They got 5 more again. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't throw into that pressure, Wayne. You're exactly right. The pressure caused some.
JJ, do you think he could have ran for the touchdown? I think he'd have been short.
Hey, I'm with you. I can't guarantee. I think he would have gotten close. And
maybe to the 2 or 3. They looked right at him. They were looking right at him.
Who knows? If he dives and sacrifices his body as Elway did in the Super Bowl against Green Bay, maybe. But I'm with you, TC. I think you live to throw the pass, see if he catches it. And I think Aaron Rodgers goes, we're going for it on 4th down here. So who knows? I'm with you. I don't think he could have made it. I think he could have gotten close.
You know, the Tampa Bay 2 starting safeties, gentlemen, Winfield and Whitehead. Anton Winfield didn't play at all because of an ankle. And then Whitfield got hurt in the 3rd quarter because of a shoulder. Man, right there, I thought that was huge. I thought right then Tampa Bay was in trouble. But their starting safeties did an admirable job of, filling in. Hopefully they'll be available for the Super Bowl. I don't know their availability. But also for the Super Bowl, Kansas City's star, left tackle Eric Fisher will not play. He's out. So that right there is going to give Jason Pierre-Paul and them an advantage on the D-line for Tampa. But, guys, Green Bay has lost now, 4 NFC titles in the last 7 years, and Aaron Rodgers is 1 for 4 NFC title games. We got about 2 minutes before Dave Cohen comes on. Now, you know the story about Aaron Rodgers. He's like, I don't know what my future holds. Guys, he's going to be there next year. He's got a big cap hit. After that, Jordan Love is sitting behind him. I can't imagine Green Bay even think about getting rid of Rodgers with 48 touchdown passes because Matt LaFleur's got to love him. And they did a great job there. They just fell short in a big game. JJ, what are you thinking? What are you thinking of all that?
This close.
I know.
My Falcons were one of the victims, as you want to call it, for the Packers, but they're there. They're right there. They're right on the cusp. Aaron Rodgers is your MVP. I think he's there next season. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy if you think he's going anywhere. I think he'll be there for probably 2 more years. I think he'll play out the contract. I do. And then I think Jordan Love will take over, kind of like a Brett Favre situation just with Aaron Rodgers. So I do think Aaron Rodgers' comments were interesting. And were going to kick the field goal. So that's very interesting. This is LaFleur's show.
Well, I was going to say also, gentlemen, the play at the end of the half when Green Bay went man and Tom Brady saw it and hit Scotty Miller on the touchdown pass, that ended up being a backbreaker too. You're down 28, and the turnover to start the third quarter, you're down 28-10. But when they got really close, my mind was on the two of you going, oh no. First thing you're going to say is Tampa Bay loses. Well, the Buccaneers joined the Falcons, but it was closer than 28-3. But anyway, Dave Cohen is on the line here with us at ATL Prime Sports, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers. Dave, welcome. As always, glad to have you on.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
All right.
Better than the Georgia State basketball program after they got swept this weekend. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, rough weekend up the mountain to Boone. And, a lot more parity in the Sun Belt this year than maybe we've seen in years past. Appalachian State has been one of those games that, maybe 8 out of 10 times in the last few years, we would look at that in the preseason on the schedule and pencil that in as a win. But that's not the case anymore. And, Georgia State found that out during what, is a crazy COVID-19 basketball year with a trip up the mountain. To play too. They played Friday night now, and then they turn around and play Saturday, and weren't able to get off the mountain with a win following either ball game.
Yeah. Well, the next game, it looks like we've got a bunch of home games coming up, and 2 of those are against Appalachian State. So maybe the home court will provide some advantage.
Yeah, we've got South Alabama coming in this weekend, Friday night, Saturday afternoon. The Friday night game will be on radio because that's going to be televised nationally on ESPN2. And then I'm back on ESPN Plus on Saturday afternoon. And then you're right, Appalachian State returns the trip. They come in for 2 because everybody's, everybody in the East is only playing everybody in the East, and the West is only playing the West until you get to tournament time this year. And then games 5 and 6 down the road here will be 1 at home with Georgia Southern and then 1 on the road at Georgia Southern. So
I don't think you'd want to do 2 in a row down at Georgia Southern against them because that's kind of a big rivalry and
the biggest.
It's better if you swap those back and forth.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're doing that. I think each school does that with 1 opponent.
Okay.
So, whoever that natural rivalry would be. So South Alabama, I think they'll do that with Troy.
Right.
Appalachian State will do it with Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, and Monroe will do it. So for us, it's a no-brainer. It's Georgia Southern coming up in a couple weeks.
We're listening to Dave Cohen, voice of the Georgia State Panthers, right here on ATL Prime Sports. Find him on Twitter at Georgia GA State Voice. GA State Voice, that is. Dave, I'm going to flip it over to baseball. What's up with the Panthers on the diamond this year? What's the COVID season looking like coming up?
Well, it's interesting you ask. I was just talking to our sports information director today. We were talking about the schedule. At one point, I thought that college baseball was going to play what we'll call a limited schedule, somewhere in that 40 to 45 game range as opposed to a full 56 game schedule. But according to what I heard today, we're playing a full, if possible, a full 56 game schedule. And although I've got a copy of it, I haven't looked it over that closely yet. I know we're playing a number of Southeastern Conference opponents. And part of the reason is because when it comes to COVID-19 protocol, I think that obviously the SEC, the ACC is more in line with what the Sun Belt is doing. So it gives everybody, both us and those SEC opponents, an opportunity to have a good shot to get all these games in, as opposed to playing what I'll say some lower Division I opponents where maybe they're not going to play a full 56 game schedule, and maybe their protocols are a little bit different than what we're practicing in the Sun Belt, and so on and so forth. So from what I understand, it's a pretty loaded schedule this year, especially on the front end with some Southeastern Conference opponents. I know there's a home and home there with Georgia. I think I heard a home and home with Ole Miss, a weekend trip to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. And I think there's 1 or 2 other SEC opponents. Now, this is, of course, on paper, and it's, of course, as long as they can get all these games in. But I certainly understand why. Normally, we might play one or two SEC opponents. Oh, and I think we open up at home with a weekend schedule against West Virginia.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, which makes it so it's very much a non-conference schedule loaded with Power 5 opponents. And then, of course, the Sun Belt schedule. And unlike basketball, which I was just saying, East plays East, West plays West, from what I understand in baseball, it'll be per usual where everybody will play everybody.
Right. Well, it's an outdoor sport, and it's less confined in close quarters than
Right.
football even. And I think Memphis is in a similar situation where they haven't nailed down their baseball schedule yet. It's not up on their Go Tigers Go website, and I don't think y'all's is up on y'all's website yet either.
Not yet, because it has not been 100% finalized as of yet.
That's why.
But the copy that I got today is as of this morning.
Yeah.
Hot off the press.
I was going to say, Dave, can we go back to basketball? Gentlemen, thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. Dave, it was just a rough weekend. Like I said, they got swept. Georgia State has played really well at home. They're 5-0 on the road. They're 3-4, but they got hammered on the boards on the second game this weekend in particular, but they didn't shoot the three ball well at all.
No, you're right. Those two numbers are the ones that stick out. 3 of 17 behind the 3-point line in game number 2, which was a 74-61 loss. Not often that we don't shoot the three well, with Justin Roberts and Corey Allen and Evan Johnson, so on and so forth. And then the other number that really jumped out, which if you've got the stats in front of you, gave up 15 offensive rebounds to Appalachian State in that second game. And, anytime you're giving up those kind of numbers, when you're not producing from outside the 3-point line on one end and getting beaten that bad on the offensive boards on the other end, you could be in for a long night. And we were in for a long night, but the two of the guys that did step up, the backcourt, I mentioned Corey Allen, Justin Roberts, they combined for 37 points. It just wasn't, from behind the 3-point line like it normally is.
Yeah. I think the coach even tried changing up the starters for the second game, and that really didn't pan out too well either.
No, and a couple of these guys are, there's been a couple, 3 that have missed games because of COVID-19 protocol, which means they've been sidelined for upwards of 10 days. Their legs were not totally there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're dealing again, with a situation that has not been faced before by really any college basketball teams. For Georgia State, that's what happens when you're playing on the road and you're not really at full strength per se. And I underline strength, it can catch up to you and it can bite you. So, that's literally what happened up on the mountain at Appalachian State this past weekend.
Dave, quick question for you. Going to kind of reverse everything, go to the NFL. You're a play-by-play guy for football. What do you think of these teams chasing points? I'll give you the example, like the Buffalo Bills. We all saw it. They go for 1. They're down by 2 possessions. They ended up going for 2 to chase the extra point. What do you think of that? Do you think it's a good move, bad move? I think it's horrendous.
Well, could you also throw in the Green Bay game as well, where they kicked the field goal instead of, at one point there, I thought for sure that Aaron Rodgers, and I forget exactly, was on that drive that it looked to me like he could have scored on a keeper.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have made it. They were looking at him.
Right. You do or you don't think?
No, I think he'd have fell short by about 2.5 yards, 3 yards. But he made closer for the 4th down play. That's for sure. You think he would have made it?
Again, it's one of those things you're watching it when you watch it more in slow motion.
Yeah.
It looks like that there's plenty of room in front of him. But then again, when you speed it up, you may be right. He may have gotten to the 2 or the 3 and gotten dropped. So you take the 3. As much as these guys use the clock, you take the 3 in hopes of your defense getting the football back for you and giving you another opportunity. It's easy to be the armchair quarterback coach, as we are.
Sure. Monday morning quarterback. Yeah.
Well, we're not in the heat of the moment.
Right.
And we're not privy to the conversations that those head coaches are having with their coaches that are up in the skybox watching, and the coordinators. So it's easy to be able to sit back and throw in our 2 cents worth. But when we're not in the heat of the battle and we're not in the moment, sometimes something that looks so evident to you and me when you're on the sideline may not look quite as evident as it does to everybody else who's watching from the comfort of their armchair in their nice warm living room on a 55-inch screen television.
Sucking down a cold one, and their mind isn't there anyway, and they're already buzzed. That's the thing about it. We talked about it before you came on. I'm like, I just love all these Monday morning quarterbacks. We saw a classic football game come right down to the end, and somebody has to lose, and whoever loses, the Twitter sphere, the Facebook sphere, or Instagram sphere, they all sit there and complain, I would have done this. Well, you're not doing it because you're not there. And it made me sick. I mean, the thought of Tom Brady in 10 Super Bowls, I still can't wrap that around. People have no idea how special that is.
Oh, it's great. And as a Patriots guy,
right.
I wanted New England to keep him because I just don't see letting a player of that caliber walk. That's the equivalent of Larry Bird leaving the Celtics. The equivalent, really it's the equivalent of Bobby Orr signing with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Or now that, that's right. A big name player leaving, like Henry Aaron signing with the Brewers.
Right, exactly. It just doesn't look right. But, I'm happy for Tampa Bay. Hey, listen, the city of Tampa Bay's had a great run this year.
We said that too, the trifecta. Between the Super Bowl, now that they won the Cup and they were in the finals in baseball. We couldn't believe it. Well, I'm sorry.
I know you've seen some of the success Tom Brady brings, and I've mentioned this on this show before. I read an article. Tom Brady, when he was in high school in California, the Lakers won it, and someone else like the LA Kings won it in hockey or something. And then he goes to Michigan, the Pistons and the Red Wings win championships. And then we know what happens when he goes to Boston. All 4 franchises win multiples. So
he was also in the game. He was also a little kid in the stands when Joe Montana made that pass to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone against Dallas. This kid is like allergic to winning.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, when he retires, maybe you should get him to move to Atlanta.
No, that would probably jinx him.
Oh, come on.
His streak went in right there.
This curse is bigger than anything, baby. This curse is bigger than anything.
Hey, the year the Kings won it, that would have been a Wayne Gretzky year, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I believe so.
No, that's not correct. They never did win the Cup with him. No, they did not. They did not. He did not win. His Stanley Cups were all in Edmonton. Now, his tag partner there, Mark Messier, won one with the Rangers. I'm 100% positive Gretzky never won a cup with LA Kings. Barry Melrose was the coach back then, so they fell short. Dave, tell us what you got coming up for basketball this weekend for Georgia State and how we can listen to you, and then we got to let you go.
All right, well, South Alabama comes in on Friday night and Saturday afternoon. Again, the first of a 5-game homestand, followed by App State and the first game against Georgia Southern. Friday night, it's national television, although we'll be on radio on 88.5 FM, WRAS, and streaming on the GSU Athletics mobile app. It'll be televised on ESPN2. As I understand it, the 2 announcers will be remote, so they will not be at the sports arena in Atlanta. And then Saturday afternoon, back on ESPN Plus for Game 2, Georgia State and South Alabama. So that's
now, can fans come to the game?
Yeah, there are limited tickets available for Georgia State basketball in person downtown.
Okay, very good. And hopefully they'll get to the free throw line more than their opponent did, because last weekend that seemed to be a big discrepancy. They couldn't get to the line. So hopefully they can.
Well, it'd be nice to bounce back from what were 2 losses on the road at Appalachian State. And South Alabama, last year was picked as one of the favorites in the Sun Belt.
8-4 overall, 2-3 in the East, 4th place. Dave, let's hope our fortunes change with yours next week. And thanks a lot for coming on.
All right, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. The voice of the Georgia State Panthers, Dave Cohen, as we all wave goodbye to him. And I'm sure Wayne will give him the tip of the Memphis cap. And I'll give you the tip of my when he
Buccaneers.
creamsickled Tampa Bay hat in honor of the GOAT. So anyway, speaking of GOATs, he'll be in his 10th Super Bowl, like we said. He'll be the underdog, which it'll only be the second Super Bowl that he's ever been an underdog in. The other one was his first one against the Rams, and they were a 14-point dog, and they not only covered, they won it all. All right, guys, let's flip the script and go from the NFC to the AFC. And, guys, this really wasn't much of a game. JJ, you mentioned to me on Twitter, big hole, 9-0. I'm like, big hole? They came back down from 24-0 against the Texans, and every playoff game they were behind last year. Big hole.
I did not say big hole. I didn't say
You
big
just
hole.
said hole. Digging themselves a hole. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I
A
apologize.
two-possession hole is a two-possession hole. I don't care what
Right.
team you are. You don't want to start off a game 9-0, Todd.
I agree with you 1,000%. I was just busting your chops.
They came back and they shot up and they won the game. But let's face
Yeah.
it, the game was 14 points. It felt
For a
like
couple of
34.
spurts there, right?
It felt
You're right.
like
You're right.
34. It just
Right.
seemed like the Chiefs dominated this game. The Bills kicked field goals instead of scored touchdowns. And, God, we all know the debacle at the end of the game. Heck, they got an onside kick. They got an
Analytics.
onside kick.
Analytics.
If they
Damn
don't-
analytics.
They are right back in the game. It is
I know it.
unbelievable. It is literally unbelievable chasing all these points. This game could have been a lot closer. It just – but here's the story of the game. UGA, my boys, Miko Harmon,
Here we go.
McKenzie had heck of a day. So if you're a Georgia fan, you're cheering because your boys, damn good dogs, did well. But you know
Yeah,
what?
whatever the damn good dog when he put him in a 9-0 hole and dropped the punt.
He came back and
Yeah, that's true. He played great. You're right. He did. I'm just busting your chops.
I know, and I'm busting yours too. We're having a good time here. But it's just
Bust my
amazing.
chops.
I mean, I've never seen a team dig themselves in a 9-0 hole and come out like it's nothing happened in a playoff game. That's
Hey, JJ and Wayne, do you guys remember when a player used to make a mistake and they'd hand off to him and he'd fumble? You wouldn't see him for a while. What does Andy Reid do? Puts him in right in the next series, and Miko Harmon takes off on the big play down the field.
Unbelievable. That's coaching.
That's Andy Reid for you.
That's coaching. And
It is. Back in the day, you had to sit forever, man, if you fumbled the football. Now with the Chiefs, you go right back in. They're just so explosive, it doesn't matter. I mean, players fumble the football, we bring them right back in. This is the way Andy Reid does it. We go for it on 4th down with a backup quarterback when the game's on the line, when everybody's saying you should punt the football and pin them deep. Andy Reid's like George Costanza in the episode on Seinfeld, the opposite. Just do the opposite. And it works.
It's unbelievable. And as we were mentioning before the technical difficulties, the great ones make the best and the most controversial coaching decisions. I'll give you an example at the college level. Nick Saban, Jalen Hurts having a bad day. What does he do? Puts in true freshman Tua Tagovailoa. He comes in and beats Georgia in the national title game. The great ones do the unthinkable. Andy Reid did the unthinkable, put Miko Harmon right back out there, had a great day, had a great first half. It's just unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And you look at it, the AFC and the NFC championship, folks, 4 of the top 5 total offensive efficiency teams, that's who was in the Final Four of the NFL this weekend, folks. Great coaches, great offensive minds, and great quarterbacks. And that's what Andy Reid has. He's a great
Well, that's true. We're waiting for Lou Gamelin to come on here on ATL Prime Sports.
Hello?
Hello? Lou, you on?
I can see you guys.
All right, you're on. I can see you too. We've had some technical difficulties. There's a ringing here and all kinds of business that's happened within the last couple minutes. Lou, welcome to the show. You're with JJ, myself, and Wayne, our producer in Memphis. Lou Gamelin, folks, he does high school football in the state of Michigan. He just ironically got done with the Final Four as his Freeland High School, went to the Final Four there. He broadcasts ACHA hockey with myself on a national level. And also he has his podcast, which is on Tuesdays from 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time, the Captain Lou Extravaganza. So, Lou, now that we got rid of the noise, it's banging in my head for the last couple minutes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Todd. How are you?
Everything is just roses, huh? Isn't it roses, JJ?
It's good here, man.
we had technical difficulties for about 4 or 5 minutes. Hopefully, when we go through and edit, we'll be able to edit some of the noise out. I don't know. JJ and I just got done talking. We're going to bring up the same subjects to you that we talked about earlier in the show. Before I do that, though, Lou, I want to. What the heck is that, Lou? Is that a signal for a new car on the screen or what, man? What is that?
I don't know. That's I can.
That sure doesn't look like you.
No, it's not me.
It looks like you're buying a new Ferrari or something.
Well, I don't know.
So anyhow, before we go into the NFL, I do want to ask you.
There we go.
I was texting you about I call it lunacy, but you might disagree with me, and it's okay. Canceling Michigan sports. The Wolverines won't be playing any sports for 2 weeks, number one. And now they canceled no high school contact sports now. Is it till February 21st? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right. They have. I don't know.
It's exhausting.
It is. It's very exhausting, and they're having a protest this weekend in Lansing at the Capitol on Saturday.
Another protest. Nice.
I think it's kind of a tug of war, and I think. See, my opinion is that back in the fall, when the governor, she didn't ban sports, but she strongly suggested that they don't play sports. Well, the MHSAA said, you know what, we're going to do it anyways. And so they went against her wishes. Now I think she's become a little vindictive, and she's got an axe to grind. And, she's saying that it's just, you guys aren't going to do it. With the variant here, you're not going to have high school sports, no contact sports. And, real quick on it, it's funny as I read a letter or something on Twitter from a student who plays high school basketball. And he says, here's what I do. I get up in the morning. I go to school. My first class is gym. What do we do in gym class? We play basketball with each other.
That's a hell of a point.
We eat lunch together. We go to class together, but we can't practice together. And I think, she can say whatever she wants. I think part of it's political.
It is political. No question about it.
Won't accept the data from the scientific data from the MHSAA, and it's funny as the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services director resigned last Thursday. I don't know why, but he resigned. So it's a mess, Todd. You're absolutely right. And the kids are the ones that are suffering. They're dangling the carrot in front of them, and then they keep prolonging it. Either cancel it all together or let them play. And I prefer to let them play because they deserve to.
Oh, I agree with every word you said 100%. I know JJ does too. I mean, we sat here and talked about it in private, JJ and I, and we just shook our head, man.
Well, look, let me say this. I have a young cousin who is facing in North Carolina. They're facing the same questions. Do we move forward? Each principal has their own way they want to combat it for their school, and I understand everybody's difference of opinions. But these young women and men want to play their sport. You're talking about taking away senior years again. You're talking about in a society where mental health is everything. These young kids, some of that is everything to them. So I think that goes into this. And hey, I think it's just a bad move when you take sports away from young athletes.
That's a hell of a point you made, JJ, about the mental health. And these kids, it isn't college. They don't get your time back. They don't get it back. They lose a junior year. That's it. They're moving on.
Done. And it's just sad. It's just really sad. And I was telling my cousin, I said, you know what, keep your head up, because at least, and I say this with a open heart, I mean, at least she's not a senior, but I feel for every single senior last year and this year that has been affected, because think about that. You can't get that year back, like you said. You can't get that walk-off home run or the senior night experience or the homecoming game. You don't get that back. And it's just crazy for that one person is saying this.
Lou, what are the people saying up there?
Well, it's I would say it's about 85-15 percentage wise. They want the kids to play, maybe 90-10. And again, you know, the people that are agreeing with her are mostly the healthcare workers that work in the, you know, the elderly care facilities and whatnot.
Sure.
They're going to agree with her. But most of the people want them to play, and JJ, you hit the nail on the head. It's the mental health aspect of it. I mean, you know, these kids are, you know, this is part of their routine, and you know, it you know, when you take this away from these kids, what else are they going to do?
Correct.
You know, it takes away their structure, their discipline, and I just I don't know what else to say. And you're right. A lot of milestones these kids are never going to get back.
Well, and JJ and I have always said this, that you don't want the aftermath of the pandemic worse than the pandemic itself. Right. And now you're heading in that direction.
I agree 100%, and I don't have the answer anymore. Everybody is, you know, there's some infighting, like, you know, from what I hear, rumors of like the state high school hockey, that, you know, it's just the coaches are kind of divided on it, and you know, it's creating a lot of havoc here. It's sad. It really is.
You look like you're on the recliner tonight, Lou. You're just kind of kicking back, man.
Well, you know, just kind of.
You got a couple cold ones there, or what?
No, we got a storm coming, man. We're supposed to get 6 inches of snow tomorrow.
So, really?
Between tonight and tomorrow afternoon. So I got to get up. I got to work in it. So no sarsparillas tonight.
Well, we got a storm tonight. It'll be 65, and we got thunderstorms and an isolated tornado.
Well,
I think the tornado already hit Wayne's mic in Memphis, because his mic is done for the night. Our producer, I feel sorry for him. I think the tornado already got his mic.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, just kicking back, you know, right? Just you know, going over the aftermath of yesterday's games, you know.
Oh, speaking of the aftermath, let's shift gears to there. Nice, because they even have a show called The Aftermath. So, The Aftermath, we talked about earlier. Let's get your opinion. The Packers, they decided to kick the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and goal. And, you know, Matt LaFleur, he had an interesting decision. He decided to kick it, trust his defense, had in essence 4 timeouts. Of course, there was the penalty, the offensive, you know, the defensive pass interference with a tug of the jersey. And you and I, you know, we don't have really much of a heartbroken for the Packers. So they lost. But what would have you done if you were Matt LaFleur? Because JJ and I both said that I could see either way. And if he goes either way and loses, the media is going to kill him either way, which they did.
Well, I'll tell you, you've got the league MVP quarterback in your team. Players win the games. Now, if I'd have been Aaron Rodgers on 3rd down, I would have tucked it in and ran. You know, because maybe he wouldn't have scored a touchdown, but he would have got him down inside the 5, maybe to the 3, and it would have been a lot easier decision. They would have went for it. But I would have went for it. I would have went for it on 4th down. You don't make it. You got 4 timeouts in a sense with the 2-minute warning. You know, you got to trust your defense. And I don't think, you know, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' best game. You know, it's like they got their defense gave them 3 interceptions, and they couldn't do anything with it. You know, they had 2 3-and-outs. So, you know, it's funny is they were all condescending and joking around in the first half, and you know strutting around. But boy, when they got behind, it was almost like Green Bay didn't know how to act, and they kind of choked it up a little bit, in my opinion.
Well, those turnovers were the difference. I mean, we said it earlier. Tampa Bay took the 2 Green Bay turnovers and made 2 touchdowns, where the Packers had 3 Tampa turnovers in the second half, only for 3 points. That was huge. And then, of course, the defensive miscue at the end of the half and not going zone gave Tom Brady a present to Scotty Miller down the field. And, Lou, Tom Brady makes a career of the guys like Scotty Miller. I mean, he finds these guys and he makes a career of them.
Well, here's the difference with Scotty Miller that I think he maybe had with Randy Moss, and that's it. You got a guy with world-class speed. That guy's a 4.39 40, and he's a lot quicker than Wes Welker and and Danny Amendola and some of these other guys, But he, I don't know what the hell Green Bay was thinking on that. You don't have somebody playing center field in the end zone. I mean, even if you give up a field goal try, it's 17-10. I mean, holy cow, you probably could have heard a pin drop in Green Bay.
You know what? I'd love to hear that pin. I'd love to hear that pin drop. And JJ, as a Falcons fan, he knows what it's like to go through agony at the end of halves. Well, and especially at the end of games.
Yeah. My heart's not broken. That's for sure.
Well, as you can see, I have the creamsicle on today. So in honor of the 10th Super Bowl man's honor. And it was a heck of a ball game. And JJ, I'm sorry, you had a question about Matt Stafford, didn't you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, you're listening to Lou Gamelin right here on ATL Prime Sports. You can find him on Twitter at Real Captain Lou. Lou, wanted to ask about that Stafford and Deshaun Watson situation. I kind of asked you a 2-parter. Where do you think they go? Are they both in the same uniform next year, or are they both gone?
Well, they're both gone. It's just a matter of where they're going. Stafford and the coaching staff and whatnot, they mutually agreed to part ways. And I could see him in Indianapolis. I think he'd be a great fit there. They've got a team that's ready to win. And I think if he goes there, they've got a great offensive line. They've got some young weapons there. There's 2 other places I could see him going, possibly San Francisco or possibly New England. I've seen talks of a 3-way deal with, him going to Frisco, Jimmy G going to New England. It's kind of ironic is Minnesota could have the only team with the same starting quarterback in that division next year, because who knows? Rodgers, I know it's far-fetched. Rodgers could be gone, and Stafford's going to be gone, and who knows who's going to be quarterback in Chicago. But
yeah, well, you know what, Lou? There's no way that Rodgers is going anywhere after 48 touchdowns, and his contract it's too big for Green Bay to move him. Not next year. He should be in Green Bay.
Well, somebody's going to be gone. It's either going to be him or it's going to be Nagy, or not Nagy, LaFleur. Those 2 obviously are not on the same page.
You don't think so?
If they were on the same page, then I think that he would have told Rodgers that they were going to either go for it or kick the field goal on 4th down. And if Rodgers would have known that, I honestly think if he'd have known that they were going to kick it on 4th down, he would have tried to run it in. I truly believe that, and I don't believe they're on the same page. And I just think the way that they handled everything back in April was not to his liking. And I think that carried over. And I think there's more to it than that. And I think one of the 2 is going to be gone. I know.
Well, it ain't going to be Rodgers. I can tell you that.
Well, then it might be LaFleur, or somebody's going to be. Heads are going to roll there. There's going to be.
JJ, what do you think about that? I don't think so. But what do you think?
I'm with you on Stafford going somewhere else. I think Aaron Rodgers stays at least one more year, and I do have a feeling somehow, some way, Deshaun Watson's a Texan next year.
That would not surprise me.
I don't see it going anywhere. He's got a no trade clause. He's going to have to land in the perfect scenario. Honestly, I see this getting down and dirty. If Deshaun wants to pull a Carson Palmer, That might be the ticket out of Houston. Because I don't think Houston's going to play their cards and trade. I wouldn't. If I'm a GM, I'm not trading him. I mean, he just had a year.
I don't know. What do you think, Lou?
He's burned a lot of bridges, you know,
Boy, he has.
and I don't think I could see him going to the Jets, but they're going to have to offer some picks, and that's because, he's kind of holds the cards because he's got that no trade clause. He's going to have to agree to wherever he goes, and it's either going to be the Jets or Miami. But does Houston really want Tua?
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't. Tua's got to show me something. Maybe he's still banged up from when he hurt his hip. Maybe he's not 100%. I don't know.
I'll give you another team. I'll give you another one about Stafford. I just remembered it now. I forgot it. Another one for Stafford would be
New Orleans.
Oh no, they're in cap hell. Why am I not? Golly, I just thought of it. It's killing me. Oh, geez. I'll probably remember after the show. I mean, there's so many. Oh, Dallas, his hometown.
Yeah. I mentioned Stafford.
Think about that. Dallas.
He's a Texas guy.
That's his hometown. He could go to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys could, tell Dak, see you later. And the Lions could end up with Prescott, but I don't see why they'd have to pay big money. They would get a younger player, but one who suffered a serious injury. Lou, what do you think about Stafford going to Dallas? I can't rule that out.
Well, I can't rule it out, but I got a feeling there's a possibility that he could go. The reason I say he could go to Indianapolis is because Ballard would be willing. I think he's done it before. He'd be willing to give up a first-round draft pick for him. And you got to look at Washington. They might be willing to give up a first-round pick for him.
Very much so.
And I think I just think Indianapolis is the number one destination for him, and it works. And I think they would give up that first-round pick, so Detroit would have two, and Detroit could pick a quarterback in the first round, or in the second round if they get, they could.
I'd rather them give Matt Jones on. Obviously, if we all know who's going one, Trevor Lawrence. My personal preference after Lawrence is Matt Jones from Alabama. That would be my guy.
I like him, but and again, maybe I'm looking too much into this. Todd, is Alabama quarterbacks are like Ohio State quarterbacks. They don't do anything in throws.
JJ was going to chime in on that one.
But Mac Jones, what adversity has he faced? And that's what kind of
a little last year against Michigan when he was behind at the half.
Okay, well, you're killing me now. I don't.
You're splitting hairs, TC.
Hey, he asked me what adversity. I gave a little one.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
No, Lou, I agree with you, though. What has Mac Jones, other than the SEC title game, and really they led that wire to wire when it came down to it. I'm with you. I am hesitant to take Alabama quarterbacks. You look at Greg McElroy; he didn't have much success.
No.
This guy's different, man.
This guy's much different. I agree with you, but
I hope so.
When you're throwing to Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Billingsley, Najee
Harris.
I'd rather like men playing with boys. I agree.
They were the best team in the country, and it wasn't close.
Someone in his face, and he has to audible to that backside pass protection, or else he's going to get flattened. Yeah. Let's see that adversity. I'm with Lou right there.
Well, I guarantee you this. He'll run for his life in Detroit because they got two good offensive linemen, and the rest, forget it.
Well, they're getting better, though. They got
They are.
This is probably the best offensive line Detroit's had in 30 years.
You mean back to when Barry was running?
Yeah. When they had that in 91 when they went to the title game, the NFC title game, I mean.
That was a good line. It was. And they were good, the Lions in the 90s. They were competitive.
Yeah.
They would just lose every playoff game but one. Lou, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Nope,
Sorry for the
no problem.
difficulties you getting on.
Okay.
Wayne, our producer, had sent you an email, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. And it's
So-
just been kind of the show for tonight.
Thanks for having me, Todd. It's been a pleasure. Keep up the good work, you guys.
Hey, Lou, tell everybody where they can watch your gig tomorrow.
Tomorrow is I'm on 12ouncesportsnetwork.com, and I'm on from 8 to 10 Eastern time. Tomorrow, I want to bring up a special guest. Well, he does his own show right before me. Mitch Bernstein, The Burn with Mitch. He's out of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to come on. He's a baseball historian, and we're going to talk about the life and times of Henry Aaron and also Tommy Lasorda and Don Sutton. And, it's going to be a good show. Mitch is big on history. He's done a lot with the Negro Leagues. And so it's going to be a fun talk with him. And so he's my main guest. And we got another guy on, Ethan Yarbrough, talking hockey at 9:30 tomorrow. But every week, 8 until 10, Todd's been a regular guest on the show. And, we're gonna go over what we talked about tonight as well. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lou, thanks for coming on. I'm glad your team made to the Final Four in Michigan high school football and got to play in the snow. And, that's kind of cool. And hopefully the rest of these kids in the state of Michigan will be able to play high school sports soon. And hopefully I'll see you at an ACHA rink. Maybe we'll be doing the national somewhere this year.
Got our first
together
game Saturday night, Aquinas and Adrian. So
good.
Should be fun.
All right, Lou. Thanks for coming on. That's Lou Gamelin, host of the Captain Lou Extravaganza on Tuesday nights, 12-ounce sports, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Todd Corder here along with JJ on the other side of the hill. We might as well, he's on that side of the hill, all right. It's on the other side of town, which is a hill from the west side to the east side. There is a hill. There's several hills. And then speaking of a hill, I think our producer has his mic back, Wayne in Memphis. Do you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. You're back, and
now.
Golly, hopefully, Wayne, you can we can fix some of that mic jazz a little later. But this happens. I mean, we got Lou on. We had a delay there. I guess he didn't get the dang email you sent him, and here I am texting back and forth. And guys, that's just pandemic stuff, and that's what it is. No big deal. I've had a lot of fun, guys. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. I'm ready to call quits, and I know you are too. And JJ, I know you have a closing thought. You didn't even need to text me. Go ahead.
Yeah, guys. Hawks are 8-8. They're the 7th seed right now. If the season were to end, we might be ending that playoff streak. We'll stay tuned. Guys, it's been a great show. I'll let TC do his thing.
All
right, guys. We'll be on live Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern till 1:30 on ATL Prime Sports. Will be you can call us at 1-347-205-9631 or go www.blogtalkradio.com. Hopefully we'll have a guest. He or she will come on for about 10 minutes or so. Wayne will join us. JJ on the other side of the hill. I mean, the ATL, myself. And speaking of a big hill out in Los Angeles is Mark Mancini. He'll join us too. And also, if you want to join me on the Philadelphia Phillies podcast with myself, Mark Mancini, and Warren Brewster, 1980 Philadelphia Phillies world champion. That will be from 11:30 to 12:30. That'll also be on Blog Talk Radio. Same info that I just told you earlier on how to listen live. Guys, that's it. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Sorry, Wayne, for all the issues. And I'm glad your mic got fixed. And a tip of cap to you because you did a great job as always. And JJ, close it out as you always do. Get you one, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week. Get you one of these. Good night, everybody.